All right. Today we are going to talk about using equations to solve percent problems. And the one benefit is that equations are very similar to proportions. You cut out one step, but you have to know how the equation is set up to use it well. And so I will always say you can always fall back to a proportion. You can always fall back to your part over whole equals your percent over 100. You can always fall back on that. Okay? This is M7, lesson 6-6. All right. But today we are going to actually take and we're going to break this out and we're going to make it into an equation. Okay? And so to do this, I'm going to need you to look at your text. And they kind of give you some example equations in here already. Okay? So where might you find some important information in your text? Okay, look at it. Where are you going to find key concepts? Yes?
I learned this. That section.
That's great. Where do you find them, though, Jackson?
On the page.
If something is important in your textbook, what do they usually put around it?
Highlight.
They highlight it or...
Circle.
Well, it's or...
Or make it in bold.
They make it a bold or they put a box around it. Hey, look at that. Box. Very important. Okay, if it's important, there we go. So, you're looking for a box that has key concepts.
I see it. I found it.
Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing. Let's pause. We're going to compare about a proportion. A proportion works if you want to find the part or the whole or the percent. So, this one setup works for all three.
Okay.
But what do you see in the key concepts section? Yes.
N plus 25 equals 5. N equals 0.2.
Very good. Okay, but here, let me give you an example. How many different examples do they have to give you?
3.
They have to give you 3 examples. They have to give you 3 examples. Okay? So one of the things about an equation is you got to know how to solve them or rearrange them or know different equations to solve for different things. Okay? So let's go ahead and let's write out the 3 things we could solve for. What are they? Think toolbox. Yeah. We could solve for the part. Okay? What else could we solve for? Todd. We could solve for the whole. Excellent. Or we can solve for the percent. All right? So, when you're writing an equation, we would typically use not words, but we would use letters. Okay? So, for this, I am going to go ahead and put a P for part, a W for whole.
And then X for percent.
Well, we can pick.
C.
You want to do C, V,
E. P. C. A. B. C. P. E. P. E. P. E. Or P. E. R. I mean. Do T. P. T.
T.
What's T?
Percent.
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 Okay? And here we go. We're actually going to use our proportion to find our equations. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to rewrite our proportion so that it's P over W equals T over 100. What did I just do? Sophia. Well, it's still a proportion.
You made a proportion.
But what did I do between the box here and here? Okay.
You shortened it.
I shortened what specifically?
The part and the whole and the percent.
The part, the whole, and percent. And what did I put in their place? What do we use? What do we call these things? Amaya? We put variables. Okay? This is a proportion also known as a word equation. And this is an actual equation. And when you're writing an equation to solve for something, you usually have one variable equals everything else. So if we're trying to find the part, we need an equation that is P equals, W equals, and T equals. All right, so we need to come up with 3 equations. Now the cool thing about this, listen, the cool thing about this is once you have your equations, you literally plug in your numbers and you either multiply, divide, whatever, and then you solve for it. It's easy, okay? You don't have to figure out how to set it up. You still have to know what you're trying to find, but equations are very helpful. And you know this from physics, right? If we're trying to find the speed of an object, we take the distance and divide it by, you remember? Time, right. Or if I want to find momentum, I take mass and multiply it by, does anyone remember? Velocity, exactly. So these are equations, right? They are known things that produce a known result. So in this particular situation, we're going to have something over here, and something over here, and something over here. I made a mark. And those things, when used, will create the part, the whole, and the percent. Okay, so this is how we're going to figure it out. I'm going to go ahead and just set this one off to the side for just a second. And I'm going to switch to a different color here. And I want you to think P, W, T over 100. Let's start by finding the cross product of this. Finding the cross product of this. So what am I going to have? Yeah.
P times 100 and equals T times W.
T times W. All right. So the first thing I want to start with here is I can use this setup to find an equation for P, for T, and W. So let's say I wanted to get P by itself. What would I do to both sides? Yeah. I'd divide by 100. Okay, so now I have, in essence, P equals T times W over 100. There's my equation for the part.
Oh, that was the answer.
Yep.
So it's
Wait, there's no.
It can also be written as P equals TW over 100.
Maya, there's so many numbers and stuff. You're just using variables. Oh. Yeah.
Right. So let's use this one real quick. If I want you to find the part. So I'll just give you a quick equation. How much is 30% of 72? Okay? In this particular question, what am I given? Yeah.
The percent and the whole.
Okay, I'm given the percent and I'm given the whole, and I need to find the part. All right, so what is my percent in this problem? Landon? 30. And what is my whole? Cade? 72. So look at here. I know my T, I know my W. I plug those numbers in down here. So that equals 30 times 72 divided by 100.
That's pretty easy, B.
That's it. That's all you have to do?
Well, then you have to simplify it. Order of operations says that I do the multiplication in the numerator first. Okay, so that's going to be, don't tell me, 270 on top.
No.
Is it 270? Somebody check it.
No.
I'll do it for you,
It's
Mr.
216.
I got it.
30.
I was right.
72.
It's 216.
I was right.
It's actually 2,160.
So it's 216 over 100, and so what's the actual answer?
Divided by 100 is 21.
21.6.
No, 2.16.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's right.
No, it's 0.216.
2,160.
Oh.
Actually,
I got
2,160. That's what I said.
Maya, you obviously did it wrong.
I got it right.
Okay,
I was
Two.
right.
No, you
2160 times 100.
Divided by
Wait,
100.
wait,
160.
160 divided by 100 equals. Okay, you do it.
2160 divided by 100 21.6. Yep. All right, cool. So we have an equation for part, and it's this guy, and I'm just going to put a big old squiggly box around it. Okay, we have an equation for part, so we're 1/3 of the way there. It's only 1/3 of the way there. Shh. You need an equation for part, an equation for whole, and an equation for percent. We found one equation. You need 3 of them. So, we'll start with this. We find the cross product. P times 100 equals T times W. Okay, so this was the first step. This was the second step. The third step is trying to figure out what we're trying to find. We found part. So pick one of the other ones we need to find now. Yeah.
Answer.
Well, there is no specific answer right now. We're just trying to rearrange the equation. So what do I want to find here, Jackson?
Find whole?
Let's find whole. How do I get, if we're going to find whole, I have to get it by itself. How do I get W by itself? I divide by T.
Wait, what? Is there going to be a pyramid?
All right, now what happens to my T's over here?
They cross out.
W.
I'm left with W equals, I'm going to simplify this for you, P over T times 100. There's my equation for whole.
Oh, so we gotta multiply divide part by
The percent,
percent.
and divide by, and times 100.
Okay.
Yep.
So then now we gotta find the percent.
Correct. All right, so he's right. Look, we found an equation that's W equals. We have an equation that's P equals. P, W, we need T. Okay? So,
Wait, you circle this? You're circling this stuff?
I am, yeah. So we start with our proportion again. First part. Second part, you do your cross product. Now, the reason we're finding all these equations is then we don't have to set up the proportion and we don't have to find the cross product. If you have the equations, you cut 2 steps out of every problem. 2 steps. You still need a toolkit, or a toolbox, whatever you want to call it, but you cut 2 mathematical steps out of every single problem. That saves a ton of time. That's why it's helpful to have equations. So, Jackson was right. We found P, we found W. Now what do we have to find? Well, Mr. Biebrick. We need to find T. We need to find what we have called percent. All right, so I want to find percent. How do I get T by itself here? How do I get T by itself, Finn?
Divide by W.
I'm going to divide by W.
Oh, yeah. Divide.
What happens to my W's over here?
They cross out.
Yeah, they cross out.
W equals P over W times 100.
So T is going to be equal to P over W times 100. That's the equation for percent.
Oh my god. I completely understand.
All right. Shh. Listen, I'm going to fold this so that I can isolate these 3 for you. I think you're going to find this to be very helpful.
So that's one problem.
So there's W. There's T.
Where's the T? I mean the part.
Ah.
This one problem right there.
There you go, Mr. B.
It's pretty great.
All right, so there's your 3 equations. P equals T equals W equals.
Is that all one?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put them all on one page for you, and then we're going to try a couple of problems. And I'm not going to tell you whether I'm giving you or I want you to find part, whole, or percent.
That's why you need a toolbox.
That's why you need a toolbox.
Was that like all one problem?
No, it's tool kit.
No, it was a bunch of separate ones.
Oh, because I could not fix it. This will be.
It'll probably take me the rest of the school year.
No, I write really big, so it'll take a whole page.
Yeah, I know you guys. You're big right now. Because you can't.
No, because you can't.
Oh, yeah.
Shh. Okay. There's your three equations. And I'm going to go ahead and ask you three questions. What percent is 36 of 91? What is 60% of 111?
Stop.
32 is 42% of what number? Okay, no, so for each one of these, we're going to have a P equals, W equals, T equals. P equals, W equals, T equals. P equals, W equals, T equals. Let's start with this first problem.
Mr. B, on the last one, is it 52 or so?
Okay, let's start with this first problem. What percent is 36 of 91? What do they give me in this problem, Todd?
36 is your part.
Okay, 36 is my part.
91
Is my
whole.
91 is my whole. That means I have to find T.
Yeah.
All right, and the next one. What is 60% of 111? What do they give me in this problem? Sophia.
60% is a percent.
Okay, so 60 here.
And then 111 is the whole.
111 is my whole, so I don't know the part in this one. And the last one, okay, 32 is 42% of what number? Help me out here, Bailey.
32 is the part.
32 is my part.
And 42 is your percent.
42 is my percent, and I don't know W. Now look, if T has a question mark next to it, you bring up the T equals P over W times 100 equation, and you plug in what you're, no. If P has a question mark next to it, you go P equals T times W over 100, and you are then going to plug in the values you need for that equation. And then the last one, if W has something next to it, W equals PT times 100. So what I do is I say, okay, that's easy enough. All I have to do is take P divided by W multiplied by 100. So 36 divided by 91 times 100. And that'll give me my answer. Down here, it's going to be 60 times 111 divided by 100. And that'll give me my answer there. And then down here, 32 divided by 42 times 100. And that'll give me my answer there. Okay? That's how this works. So your toolkit will tell you the equation you need. If you don't make a toolkit, it's a lot of guess and check, and you could do a problem and spend a lot of time and get it wrong. So the toolkit is important because wherever the question mark is, that's the equation you pick. Okay, so I would put these at the top of your paper, and every toolkit will point to the right equation. Yes?
Do you have to write the equation on every problem?
Yes, you do.
Alright.
That's the work part of this. Landon.
Can we just use the PW and T on our work in that part?
Absolutely. If you guys want to use PWT for every problem, that'll save you a lot of writing. A lot of writing.
Right.
Here's the other thing. If your book uses a different variable for t, and they will, all you need to do at the top of your paper is just define them. T is percent. Or if you don't like t, you want to use r. Then at the top of your paper, you just put r is percent. And then you can use off.
Can we do a percent sign?
I would prefer you do not use a percent sign because that is more a label than it is a variable. Okay? All right. Hopefully that made some sense.